What's going on, YouTube? So last week we went over the Casa switches and the Lutron Cassetta switches, and I kind of talked a little bit about I needed some three-way switches because Casa doesn't offer a HomeKit three-way switch. Lutron does, but they're expensive, so I was trying to find a more affordable option. So I gave the Refoss or Refoss. I'm not sure. I'm gonna call them Refoss in the video, but it could be Refoss. I gave them a try, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Digging right into it, the function seems to be okay. As far as the appearance, though, they look cheap. They feel cheap. They're not the same nice glossy material that you get from the Lutron Cassetta or the Casas or even the cheap paddle switches that you just go buy from Lowe's. They're like a matte white, cheap, plasticky looking switch. I was able to finally link them up to HomeKit, which we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. They respond in HomeKit, they respond at the actual switch. So overall, I mean, they are working, but they look cheap and they feel cheap. The first one that I put in, I had the entire thing wired up, had the wall plate back on it. It was beside two other switches. The other two switches, you know, they look great. And then this Refoss is just there. Like, it's just there. And not only that, when I went to go put the wall plate on, the wall plate mounts nice and flush on the other switch sides. And from what I can tell, the Refoss is basically made to be used with its proprietary cover plate, because it kicked the cover plate out just a little bit. I mean, it was enough to where it wasn't nice and pressed against the wall and the paint. Less than a 1/16 gap, but still, I mean, for a wall plate, that's a pretty big gap. Now, as far as linking them up and getting them into HomeKit, my issue with getting them linked was there's no barcode anywhere to scan to add them into HomeKit. So what I ended up having to do is this. So you have to go into HomeKit, add accessory, and where it just brings up the camera to scan the QR, you have to hit other options. When you hit other options, the switch comes up and you're able to click on that and it asks you for the access code. Well, the access code is nowhere in any of the instructions, any of the paper, anywhere except on the front of the switch. Well, I had already put the faceplate back on, so I took the faceplate back off, put in the code that was printed on the switch, and we got them linked up, no problem. So after that one, I learned, and from there on out, I was able to link them up back to back to back. So, I mean, no real issues getting them linked up. They linked up fine, and again, they're working fine. They're responding, but man, they just don't look right. I mean, if you've got another option, I would go with the other option just for the simple fact of that. As different manufacturers release things, I will be looking for another option for a three-way switch other than the Lutron Cassetta. I know Lutron Cassetta has them, but they're expensive. So, and I'm trying to take the budget route, and I know you get what you pay for, and you do. The Lutrons are far superior, but these do work. As soon as Casa releases the three-way switches that are compatible with Apple HomeKit, then I'll go and give those a try. And if for some reason you're not sure what I'm talking about with the single pole versus three-way, I talked a little bit about it in my last video. So check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. But other than that, you've got another option, I would go with it. If you're okay with, having a little bit cheaper look, but having the function, then these may be for you. Or if you have a room somewhere that not many people go in there and you're really just looking for the function of a smart three-way switch, then this might be right for you. If this is something that relates to you or something that you're wanting to see more of, make sure to go down, subscribe. I'm going to be every week trying to go over a different portion of starting this smart home journey with Apple HomeKit. You can come along for the ride and see the mistakes that I make and hopefully save you some money and time, and also get to see some of the things that went well in the products that I do like. I'm trying to go budget friendly. Some things you can't really get a budget item for, doorbells, locks, things like that, but I've got multiple different ones that I'm trying and testing, and as I go through them, I'll make sure to keep you all posted, and hope you got something out of the video. We'll see you on the next one.